Whoa! Damn, what the hell do y'all recommend me? Alright guys, this one's going to be Do Not Review today, this one's going to be Do Not Review for today, this one's going to be starting a series that was highly demanded from you guys on the channel. This one we are starting Silo, or Silo, however you spell it I guess, whichever one I guess is correct. But Silo, episode 1 and episode 2, I'm giving y'all a double review here. So, I watched the first 2 episodes of Silo. There's now 2 seasons on Apple TV. Third season's going to be coming out, I think, next month, I'm pretty sure. And you guys were saying, Dan, like, you gotta review this. Like, we know the type of stuff you like. This is something right up your alley. And I was like, all right, I'm down, I'm down to start a new series, and, we just finished Your Friends and Neighbors here on Apple TV, so figure we move on to the next one, right? And, well, me and my buddy Overraised Gamer are going to be following along with this, so there's going to be 2 episodes a week. That's how we're going to kind of operate on this. I guess if we have a bit more time on our hands, we might move it to 3 a week, but for now, we're going to do 2 a week. That's kind of the, ultimate plan there, and maybe even get caught up for some of season 3 when that's airing. That we'll try to do that. That's kind of the idea. So yeah, I want to fit this one in because you guys were telling me how good this one is, and well, essentially you guys know what I like, because instantly in this first episode I was like, okay, we're dealing with some corrupt shit here already. This shit's insane. Basically, we have a few characters here, and it kind of starts off as kind of how I would say, like, kind of like a fake out lead, almost, in a sense. Like, they kind of give you this false sense of, like, main characters at the beginning that you think are going to be the perspective of the show, and they're actually not at all. You've got this guy Holston and his wife Allison, basically, and Holston is kind of a sheriff for this silo that these people live in, basically. These people live in this silo. This silo is fully protected, and it is ran by a bunch of higher-ups and stuff like that to keep these people in this silo, to keep them safe, because you can't go outside. Outside, basically, the air is toxic. You will drop dead if you walk out there. It's an apocalypse, basically. You can't walk out there. You will die instantly, and that's what these people are told. That's what these people know. All these people know is that they cannot walk outside this silo. So the silo is where they're stuck at. You know what I mean? Now, this is a very interesting concept because you have, again, Holston and Allison that are this happy couple, but they are not able to have children. They're not allowed to have children, at least. That's the way they put it to them, because they don't want to overpopulate the silo, essentially. So they put these things in these women to make sure that they can't conceive and they can't, have babies. But at the beginning here, you kind of see at the beginning of this backstory, and yes, it is formed as a bit of a backstory. She gets this shit cut out of her so that she's actually able to have a kid, or at least she thinks so. And, again, they put her on this, they take it out of her, quote unquote, so now she's able to conceive. So her and her husband get to it right away. They get right down to business, and they start, having sex and shit, and it's like, yeah, we're gonna be parents. They want to be parents, they want to raise a kid and stuff like that, and they're really excited about the idea. And I was like, man, this is nice, And then, as the episode continues, you kind of wonder, like, man, like, you skip a year, they're still not, the kid's still not, happening, they can't, for some reason, have a kid, they're kind of wondering what the hell is going on. Now, essentially, you have this woman that kind of talks to Allison in this one. She ends up kind of introducing herself, and you kind of have this woman named Gloria, who is kind of an older woman, and she talks to her about the idea that apparently she is not able to have kids either. And they kind of approach each other about this. I like how she kind of ends up turning, like, the water on and stuff so that nobody can hear, because it's very secretive and they don't want anybody hearing their conversation. And she kind of breaks down the fact that she wasn't able to have a kid either, you know what I mean? And she's always known as kind of like some crazy woman or something, so to speak. And Allison is kind of, kind of in this place where she's kind of like, okay, like, why? Why can't I have a kid? Is there an actual reason for that? And it sounds like apparently one of these, like, officers doesn't, want them to have a kid. People like them to have a kid, So it's kind of like, for some reason, that we don't know why, but for some reason they're not able to. So, in other words, they're controlling their every move. That's the message that I got from this, is that, yes, they're in a safe place. Yes, they can't go outside. Yes, it's dangerous to go outside, stuff like that. But in reality, this is a mind fuck, okay? This place is an absolute mind game, and you're getting to a degree now where it's like, okay, these people here are obviously being held to some kind of lie here. They're being told some kind of lie because they can't have children. You know, they have to kind of do things a certain way. They all work in this silo. They all have to kind of do stuff. They're pawns, basically. That's basically what we kind of learn here. And I thought that was very interesting coming from that woman, Gloria. I thought that very much kind of made things a little bit more clear, you know what I mean? So yeah, again, very crazy stuff there, very insane, just insane stuff. And in terms of kind of learning about this place, that told me everything I needed to know. I was like, okay, that right there tells you that we're in a place that really isn't as safe as they make it out to be, but obviously they're going to act like it is because, you know, you can't go outside, you know, you can't go outside, otherwise you'll die, you know, how dare you question that, you know, so it's just kind of a fucked up situation in general, but I was intrigued already by the concept. I was like, okay, this is very interesting. Now, you get a few celebrations in here. You get like the Freedom Day celebration, which is the name of the episode, basically them it's kind of like an anniversary of the silo and stuff like that, you know, you get some celebrations and stuff going on, and then essentially you have this George guy that Allison, you know, goes to see. And she kind of ends up kind of getting the blueprints, basically, of the silo in general. She kind of starts learning a little bit more about it. She starts kind of looking into this whole thing. And then, yeah, no, this shocked me, guys. This really shocked me. There's basically a moment where, you know, the husband gets home. He kind of sees her there. And essentially, she ends up cutting this shit out of her. You actually end up finding out that in reality, they didn't chop anything out of her. She was not able to have a kid because they didn't take the chip out. So, the birth control chip that they put in her, they never took it out. It was a lie completely. But the only way she found that out is when he gets home. He sees her bleeding there, blood all over the place, you know, bleeding sides, stuff like that. And she took it out herself with a goddamn knife. I was like, what the fuck? Like, what is happening right now? So he sees that, and then she makes a big freaking scene out of it, right? She goes out there, she tells everybody in the silo, she's just like, this is bullshit, you all are being controlled, like, this isn't real, like, this and that, and then she ends up kind of being detained, of course, and then she ends up kind of having the choice herself to make. And this is how fucked up this place is. I was thinking at first, I was like, okay, they're not going to let her leave. She's going to be a prisoner. That's going to be the end of the deal. But she actually gets the option to leave. That's right. She gets the option to actually get the hell out of there. So she puts on the suit. She puts on all the, you know, whatever. And she goes out there and she steps out. They're watching this from a video on the inside of footage of her walking out there into the land. And it takes upon, what, 2 minutes? Not even. She walks out there and collapses to her death. She collapses right there in front of everybody, on video in front of everybody, to see that it's not survivable, even with the suit, even with anything, and you'll end up dying right away. Conveniently dies exactly where that fucking camera was. And I was like, I've seen too many TV shows to know at this point that's bullshit. I know that's bullshit. Like, yes, it happened, but it's bullshit. There's something else going on there, and there's some kind of control that they have over these people. So just like that, our leading female character dies. I was like, holy shit! Like, what the hell is happening right now? I was like, wow. And then you kind of cut to a current timeline where the officer, her boyfriend, is sitting in there in the cell, you know, saying that he now wants to leave the silo. This is years later, keep in mind. He's now starting to realize that maybe he needs to do that because he doesn't believe the footage he saw. I think they skipped like 2 years, and then he tells one of the officers, he's like, yeah, I want to leave as well. So he's now game to leave as well, and that's what we end up kind of going on. Now, we do briefly get introduced to a woman named Juliet. Apparently that's going to, you know, help that whole thing out. She's going to watch very closely and, you know, see how everything kind of plays out and stuff. And we get introduced to her. Now, she seems like a badass right away. I was like, who the hell is this? But yes, we get introduced to Juliet right near the end. And I find that insane because I've seen posters of this show with her at the very front. So I'm like, okay, she's obviously the main character. I knew as soon as I saw her, I was like, yeah, that's the woman I've been seeing in the, you know, the posters. But I'm like, we just did a fake out pilot episode. Like, that's just crazy. But I tell you what, this pilot did exactly what it needed to do. Like, it did everything it needed to do. I was intrigued. I wanted to know more. I want to know why all this is operated in this way. And it was tragic with the girl and, with her trying to get the baby to happen and then finding out that they actually didn't cut that shit out of her, and then she cut it out herself, and then she exposed everything to everybody, and then she wanted to show everybody that it's bullshit and that they're lying, so then she went out there and then she dropped to her death and then this and this. Insane episode, insane pilot. I'm gonna go 10. You're starting your show off good, man. I gotta give you a 10, honestly. I wasn't sure about a 10 at first. I was like, okay, is it perfect? Is it not? But no, I think it really did. It established everything it needed to establish. It was a fake out leading episode too, and I didn't expect it to be, but it really, really sold me on the concept. It really did. So yeah, no, I loved it. Phenomenal first episode all the way through. Freedom Day is what this one's called. This one was incredible. I loved this episode all the way through. So yeah, no, banger pilot. There we go. Episode 2. All right, now episode 2. Episode 2 is called Holston's Pick. And essentially this episode, we start with a bang. That shit didn't stop. You got freaking, Holston, who ends up going out there basically. Holston's Pick, that's the title. He decides to go out there and try this shit for himself, and he walks out there just like she did. Her dead corpse is still there through the video, but in his perspective, and this is what I liked about the second episode, is that you showed his perspective, not the bullshit that's just on the camera. He got evidence himself that this was bullshit, because he walked out there. It wasn't all destruction and ruins and all that stuff. No, it was nice, sunny out, nice, beautiful trees growing and stuff. The whole thing was a lie. So what ends up happening, though, is that he still ends up falling. He still ends up, yes, dying, yes. And he takes off the helmet, and he dies, and he lays right next to her dead body that's been there for 2 years now. And now that's both of them gone. That's right. The two characters that led the first episode are dead. There you go. Second episode, he's dead too. I was like, holy shit, what the fuck am I watching right now? That's when you know you're watching a show that has balls, and that's when you know you're watching a show that has creative writing. When that shit starts happening, I'm like, okay, what am I in for? So then we get the real lead of the show. Now we got Juliet. Juliet is our main girl. She's the one we're going to be following. I can tell that's the way they're advertising this now, and that's insane. That's insane. But this woman is quite a badass in and of herself. She very much is able to handle herself, and very very capable from what you can already kind of tell, you know what I mean? So she goes to a few different people. You get like the old lady she goes to, this Martha lady, I believe is her name. Now we follow Juliet for the remaining perspective of the episode, very much kind of telling you that she's the leading character now. And essentially she goes down to talk to this woman Martha, who kind of asks her what's going on, you know what I mean? And she reveals that Holston lied to her, essentially. And you kind of have a moment here where you kind of find out a little bit of her backstory. So she was in a secret relationship with, obviously this guy, right, George, who we met last episode briefly, the same one that Allison went to go see and stuff like that. And she was really close with him. It was all nice and happy, this and that. And the next thing you know, she finds out that George died. And it kind of set everything off at that moment, because then she kind of knows, she's like, okay, wait, like what happened? It sounded like it was like maybe a suicide, but she kind of feels like it might have been a murder. So she kind of starts looking into the idea. And then you kind of continue the episode through her perspective as she's telling Martha kind of everything that, ended up happening, which I think is very cool. So yeah, the episode moves in some really insane ways. There's some really insane stuff that kind of happens in this one. You also have, of course, the sheriff that kind of has to cover everything up. So Holston, you kind of learn about everything with him. He kind of, in a sense, did lie to her, you know what I mean? Because he's kind of covering up what really happened. And she believes that there's more to it, but she doesn't, know how to kind of go about it. So the episode was very cool in that sense, because you kind of learn through, Juliet's perspective that, something happened to George, but she doesn't know 100%, what exactly went down. So it's pretty insane stuff. The storytelling in this was very, very rich, and it very much kind of kept me captivated the entire time, trying to figure out just what exactly happened, The story kind of leads down a few different directions, where basically they kind of, have a confrontation, and you have, the sheriff, obviously Holston, and you have Juliet that kind of confront each other, and then she kind of realizes that actually it seems like George and Alicent may have actually kind of coordinated what happened together, because it's very interesting, the timing of what happened, and they knew each other, so they're kind of figuring out, like, okay, there might have been some kind of connection there, what happened, and then he agrees to help her investigate what she believes is the murder of George, not necessarily the suicide like they're making it sound like, right? So, yeah, he did lie to her, for sure. He did lie to her, and that's what she kind of reveals. And then we kind of go back to the current timeline, and she remembers something. She remembers that George apparently found some kind of secret passageway or something way down below with water where there might be something there, some kind of info. So she goes down there with the rope. She goes down there at the very end of the episode, and then she loses her flashlight, which now means she's kind of like in the dark, flying blind basically type of state. And she's hanging there. The water's right there near her, and she's trying to kind of, find a way out, but she doesn't know how she's going to get back up or what the hell she's going to do. And they end the episode with her, like, kind of, up in the air, that type of thing. So, obviously, we know she's not going to die. She's the leading character. I doubt they'll kill her, too, But, I guess you'll never know with a show like this, though. This show is crazy so far. They're really just going at it. I mean, they killed Alicent here in the first episode. They killed, Holston in the second episode. I don't know what the hell I'm in for. This show sounds insane so far. They're really just going nuts with it when it comes to just how they're doing it. And my God, it's a crazy show. Genuinely, I really, really was blown away by this one. The timeline stuff in this one moved a little bit slower, so I'll probably give this one like a 9 out of 10. I liked it, but it was definitely a bit slower in the first episode. But I really, really am intrigued to figure out what they're going to do. The second episode really was insane. So, yeah, no, this is a damn strong start to this series. I am very intrigued so far. I like the characters, Juliet being the one I can connect with the most because, well, she's the only one that lived, you know what I mean? They killed a lot of the mains in this first episode. So, I'm very impressed in the way that they're choosing to introduce this series. It's a ballsy way to do it. It's a ballsy way to execute it. And for that, I'm very intrigued. So we'll be back with some more episodes. Thank y'all for recommending this to me. Y'all are some sick folks recommending this one for me. I can see why y'all wanted me to see it, though, because it's very much like kind of a mystery. You got to kind of solve everything. It's kind of ballsy in that sense. It kills a lot of characters. Yeah, it's very insane so far. I'm determined to know the answers. I'll say that. So, yeah, let me know your thoughts. Post comments down below. Let me know what you all think, of course. And if you're new to the channel, you enjoy videos like this, make sure to click subscribe button so you don't miss any of the videos. Make sure to follow me on Dan's Reviews Official on Instagram, guys. And, of course, I'll see you guys way soon for more videos very soon. Enjoy the rest of the day, guys, and peace out.
Born in the dark alleys, city of concrete. Dan's reviews blowing up, never taste defeat. Walking Dead dissected every plot twist beat. World gone mad, TV junkies hit a treat. Typing up scripts, marathon through the night. His opinions hit harder than a straight fight scene. Every episode, brain sharper than a knife. He's the beacon of critique, shedding TV light.